Welcome to Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global finance.
Brazilian inflation in August hit its highest in 4 years for that month, driven by rising fuel and food costs. Although it slowed from the previous month, and annual inflation remained well below the central bank's goal, with some hikes in food in the short term due to specific factors like supply constraints or overseas demand. The deepest recession on record and huge labor market slack are keeping a lid on broader price pressures. Economists say this is likely to keep interest rates at record low levels well into next year at least. The Consumer Price Index rose 0.24% in the month, government statistics agency IBGE said, which is the highest for any August since 2016 and almost exactly in line with the 0.23% economists had expected. Prices rose 2.44% in the 12 months through August, also in line with the median forecast. According to the IBGE, the government body, the biggest drivers in August were 0.82% rise in transport costs and 0.78% increase in food and drink. Within transport segment, gasoline prices jumped 3.22%. The main reason overall inflation was not higher was a 3.47% fall in education prices due to the ongoing closure of many classrooms across the country. That accounted for 0.22% of deflation in August. Of the 9 sectors covered, 6 showed inflation, 3 showed prices falling on the month, adding that the accumulated rate of inflation in the first 8 months of the year was 0.7%.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said on September 9th that New York City restaurants will be able to resume indoor dining at 25% capacity, with some restrictions on September 30th, relaxing one of last big lockdown limitations on life in the nation's most populous city. Cuomo said the restrictions will include mandatory temperature checks at the door and requiring one member of each party to provide contact information for contact tracing should there be a COVID-19 outbreak originating from a restaurant. The state, which has refrained from reopening restaurants in New York City due to concerns it would spread the novel coronavirus, could lift capacity to 50% by a reassessment deadline of November 1st, depending on infection rates, Cuomo said. The governor told a news conference that the state would establish a whistleblowing system whereby patrons can anonymously report restaurants not in compliance by sending a text. In a statement, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio acknowledged that dining at 25% capacity will not mark a full return to normal, but characterized it as a starting point and a way to lift the city's economy.
The 2020 China International Fair for Trade in Services wrapped up with hundreds of deals signed, a number of new innovations released, and over a dozen cooperation platforms announced during the 6-day event. The last day of the conference witnessed another 5 announcement ceremonies, as well as a batch of deals reached. The Beijing Intellectual Property Exchange was established on the closing day with the goal to better facilitate the process of turning technological achievements to products and services on a global level. This year, the fair not only showed China's determination to open up to the world, but also increased international economic and trade cooperation. The fair's online section will stay open to the world beyond the closing of the offline events to share new opportunities. With the fair opening numerous new windows, attendees say the next step should be steadily implementing agreements reached. The Director General of the Department of Trade in Services and Commercial Services at the Government Ministry of Commerce said this year's fair fully demonstrated results achieved in China's epidemic prevention control. It established a global platform for cooperation and development of trade in services and accumulated new experiences from around the world to conduct exhibitions under the normalization of epidemic prevention and control.
The southwestern Chinese province of Sichuan, which shoulders arduous development tasks, have witnessed great changes in the people's living standards, infrastructure, social undertakings, and industry after years of poverty alleviation efforts. Heng Qinghua, secretary of the Sichuan Provincial Communist Party Committee, briefed the media on significant progress that the province has scored in poverty alleviation in accordance with the central government's arrangement over the past 7 years, saying more than 6 million rural people have shaken off poverty in the province. The size of registered poverty-stricken population decreased from 6.25 million at the end of 2013 to 200,000 by the end of 2019, marking an annual reduction of 1 million. The poverty rate in the province has dropped from 9.6% to 0.3%. All poverty-stricken counties in the Tibetan areas in Ganzi, Aba, and Liangshan prefectures have been removed from the list of poverty-stricken regions in China. Peng said that the impoverished people's standards of living have been improved substantially, that they can afford sufficient food and clothing. In the whole province, 1.36 million poverty-stricken people have been relocated to more habitable areas. 622,000 had their dilapidated houses renovated, and 2.95 million have gained access to safe drinking water who used to lack such basic service. The improved transportation infrastructure helps improve the poor area's connectivity with the outside world, according to the official. Thanks to the expansion of the road network, operational buses and delivery services are available for most villages. With the launch of a batch of energy, communications, and other infrastructure projects, people even in the most remote villages have gained access to power supply, TV, telephone, and internet services. Peng said the poverty-stricken people can now get the quality healthcare, education, and other public services. The regional gross domestic product of 88 poverty-stricken counties in the province was tallied at 955.79 billion yuan in 2019, 1.68 times that of 2013. At the same time, the per capita net income of poverty-stricken families in the province was 7,691, 2.81 times that of 2013. China has set 2020 as the target year to eradicate absolute poverty. Despite all challenges posed by the novel coronavirus outbreak, the country determines to fulfill this goal as scheduled.
The governor of the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, SAMA, Ahmed Al Khulaifi, said the outlook for Saudi Arabia's economy remains uncertain as the oil exporter navigates the effects of low oil prices and the pandemic. Speaking to a virtual Euromoney event, Al Khulaifi said he was confident in the country's financial stability and reiterated the kingdom was committed to keeping the rial pegged to the dollar. The International Monetary Fund has estimated the economy could contract by 6.8% this year. Saudi officials have previously said their own projections were less pessimistic than that. The governor said the Saudi fixed exchange rate was one of the overriding anchors of stability in the financial sector in Saudi Arabia, but added caution was needed in the light of economic stimulus that has been provided to the economy. The Saudi Central Bank in March launched a 50 billion rial package to support the private sector. In June, it announced the injection of 50 billion rials into the banking sector to support liquidity. According to the data from the Saudi Monetary Authority, there have been signs of resilient economic activity in the kingdom in July, including annual increases in points of sale transactions and lending to the private sector. But business conditions in the Saudi non-oil private sector deteriorated in August, with demand hurt by a sharp hike in value-added tax. That's according to a survey that was taken last week in the country.
This has been Business Review, your daily source for the most critical financial stories. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.